Are we in? We're in, we're on. This is G from Native Speakers Academy. This is GTV. This is our educational blog. It's a short series of little videos about present educational perspectives. And our aim with this is to try to make you think a little bit about education. So we'll go straight into our first few stories that we've got. Today, the first story is examples of very young school children being arrested, handcuffed, and brutalized by police. The article has a short introduction, which I'm going to skip and just go to the basic elements here. First situation at an elementary school in Baltimore. 3 9-year-old girls and an 8-year-old boy were arrested for fighting and marched out of their elementary school in handcuffs. The police department is defending handcuffing these children. Remember, they were girls and they were age 9. It's our policy, regardless of the age, when a suspect is arrested by police, they're handcuffed. Look at that, wonderful. Number 2. In New Haven, Connecticut, a 10-year-old boy was actually arrested by police for giving another student what's called a wedgie on a school bus. I had to check the definition of that. I had to go to the Urban Dictionary to find out what a wedgie was and is. A wedgie is a schoolyard prank in which one person grabs the back of the waistband of another person's underwear while he or she is still wearing them and pulls them up. I think I remember something similar happening when I was in school. Although we had other kinds of pranks. Pulling shorts down during sports lessons was one of the ones that I remember. All in the name of good fun while you're bored at school, I suppose. Where are we? Number 3. Just last year, a 5-year-old boy at a public school in California was arrested by police and handcuffed with zip ties because the 5-year-old boy was committing battery assault on a police officer. Adults who can't handle themselves. How much damage can a 5-year-old kid really do? I have to say that I remember once being punched in a very sensitive area by a child who was, I don't know, he had some kind of learning difficulties, and that was quite painful, but he was much older than 5, so there we go, 5-year-old child. Adults who don't know how to handle themselves, or children, there we go. Number 4, 6-year-old girl in Florida was throwing objects. So police handcuffed the 40-pound little girl and shipped her off to a mental institution for evaluation. There we go. The school to mental institution, school to prison pipeline. These are US examples. You can find examples also in other countries, but these were the easiest or most accessible stories that I could find today. They're posted up on my website. I'll give you details about that at the end and post links together with this short video. Moving on. In San Mateo, California, a 7-year-old special education student was blasted in the face with pepper spray because he would not quit climbing on the furniture. Police were then able to subdue the boy, and he was committed for psychiatric evaluation, aged 7. Well done, school. Well done, police officers. Congratulations. Another gold star in your little black book there. Florida, an 11-year-old student was arrested by police and thrown in jail and charged with a 3rd-degree felony for bringing a butter knife to school. As I remember, she had the knife to cut something in her packed lunch, and it was plastic. I think that's also the one where she was thrown to the floor by the security guard in the canteen. stunning. Congratulations, Mr. Security Guard. In Texas, a 12-year-old girl was recently... Where do they find these people? Everywhere, I suppose. In Texas, a 12-year-old girl was recently arrested by police for spraying 2 bursts of perfume on her neck. She was charged with a misdemeanor. Where beyond it's beyond any form of simple, normal, logical behavior that I can possibly imagine. But then what do you expect when you enclose all of these people in a tight space where they don't want to be and force them to try to interact together? If you treat them like animals, they'll act like animals. I think that's the principle. A 13-year-old boy at public school in Albuquerque, New Mexico, was arrested by police for burping in class. He was taken to a juvenile detention center. Wow. 12-year-old girl at a school in Forest Hills, New York, wrote, "I love my friends, Abby and Faith," on her desk. She was marched out of the school in handcuffs. On and on and on and on and on we could go. A teenage couple down in Houston poured milk on each other during a fight while they were breaking up. Instead of being sent to see the principal, they were arrested by the police and sent to court. Remember, your children are not your children anymore. They're property of the state, I guess. That's what happens when you send them to school. You sign them away. Of course, the state doesn't tell you that. Work it out. There's always some piece of paper somewhere that you have to sign, creating a contract. The world has changed and our entire society is becoming one big security state. In our public schools today, even the most minor incident could end up being put on the permanent record of a child. That's it, you'd have a permanent record if you do something wrong in school, which is inevitable because everybody does something wrong in school. I was an almost perfect student, and I still ended up in detention for some ridiculous, stupid activity. We're going on to more serious subjects in this article. It's a school officials have become hypersensitive when it comes to anything connected with sex. What should that have to do with anything in school? When a very young girl recently kissed a very young boy at one Florida elementary school, it was considered a possible sex crime and the police were called. My God, the police would have been in my primary school every day. A 6-year-old boy was recently charged with sexual battery for inappropriate touching during a game of tag. We had a game called British Bulldog where the aim was to be as physical as possible. I guess that's now banned as well. You can't be a kid anymore. In fact, it's all about just following ridiculously stupid rules anyway. You might want to pull your child out of government schools while you can. And the article goes on. Source is endoftheamericandream.com. I'll post links. Next. Study. 1 in 16 youth play the choking game. This is especially relevant as one of my friends, good friend, lost a member of his family to a similar activity. Quite shocking, really. Where do they get these ideas from? It's definitely not traditional family values, and your father definitely doesn't teach you how to choke yourself or choke other kids. So, I don't know, films, TV, the dark side of the internet. Or maybe they're just bored to death in these institutional environments. In a 2009 survey of 8th graders in Oregon, 1 in 16 said they had participated in the choking game. I've got a good friend who lives in Oregon. I'll have to ask him about that. The game involves putting pressure on the neck with a towel or belt to cut off someone's oxygen supply and then releasing the pressure to give a high sensation. Why don't you just go for a jog or play sport or the 1 in 16 figure is in line with research from elsewhere in the United States, according to Dr. Thomas Andrew, New Hampshire's chief medical examiner. One more concern in these studies that have been coming out over the last several years is that among the group there's a smaller subset that seem to like the phenomenon enough to continue doing it to each other on a regular basis. 2/3 of the children have reported doing the activity more than once, and more than a quarter had played at least 5 times. Some kids may experience it and say, this is the worst thing. Do you need to experience it to know that it's bad? The choking game comes with a chance of seizures that can cause brain damage. It also comes with a possibility of death, which is sort of lightly smoothed over here with the sentence. He's also seen, the doctor that is, has also seen cases of kids with fatal head injuries when they hit the ground after their air supply was cut off. The more times you repeat something like this, the better the chance of a bad outcome, stating the obvious. It goes on. Boys and girls were equally likely to have participated. The US Center for Disease Control found 82 media reports of kids dying from playing the choking game between 1995 and 2007. That figure is likely an underestimate. Death could look like suicide, for example. Well, it says here, while groups of youths have been playing asphyxiation games for generations, not in my generation, researchers said they may be more dangerous and contagious now than they used to be. Society is becoming more extreme. We need a return to traditional values. If you watch kids doing it on YouTube, you might think it was fun, said the psychologist W. Hobart Davies. He's obviously got a screw loose, and doesn't like the internet either. Teaching kids and teens about the dangers of the game should be part of programs. Programming. Yes, let's program the children with drugs, alcohol, risky sexual behavior, and death, which leads me to the concept of death education, which is a subject that I'll deal with in later videos. And so on, and so on, and so on. That's from foxnews.com. Right. We have further information here about the story of this 6-year-old arrested after she had a temper tantrum. If you arrested everybody who had a temper tantrum, there wouldn't be anybody left anywhere. Right. The family said that she was badly shaken by her treatment. No shit, really. The school characterized the young girl's behavior as violent and disruptive. The police department was ultimately called to assist due to safety concerns for other classmates and school staff. The staff were scared of the 6-year-old. Incredible. Trained staff. Police refused to say what actually set off the alleged tantrum. Well, there you go. Silence is golden, and a great way of hiding things that are particularly negative. And so on, and so on, and so on. The experience is far from isolated. The trend is troubling and something that occurs across the United States. In California, 40% of public school suspensions are issued for dubious reasons such as willful defiance. because you don't want to do something. It's like some kind of psychological diagnosis there. So wait till they have all the psychologists in schools just labeling, just sticking labels on the children. This problem, and this has got another problem, and he's got this problem. And ultimately, these policies are likely to end up hurting the students most, as evidenced by the fact that the young girl was suspended and not allowed to return to the school. That's great. You stay at home. You'll have much more fun, and you'll be in the real world, and you'll probably learn more. And on and on. Our policy is that the police said, our policy is that any detainee transported to our station in a patrol vehicle is to be handcuffed in the back. So that she was a detainee, 6-year-old was a detainee who was transported in a patrol vehicle. Sounds like some kind of prison camp to me. According to the Washington Post and civil rights advocates, the criminal justice experts across the United States, they are all observing how frustrated teachers and school administrators are calling police to resolve even minor conflicts. Kids are being arrested for being just kids. Well, there you go. It goes on to list the other offences. We talked about that earlier. A Texas non-profit group estimated 100,000 children are ticketed. Ticketed each year for misdemeanors ranging from violations of the school dress code to truancy and swearing. The police need to draw more distinct line. The police shouldn't be involved at all. It goes on to compare this to guns and drugs, which is also ridiculous. But then if we continue to turn our children into criminals by treating them as such, we can expect a culture of criminality and a larger customer base for the private prison industry. Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, that's why they're doing it. Final story today is video reveals teen electric shock torture at Massachusetts school. I should say that the last article originally appeared in a publication called End the Lie. I'll post links. Anyway, a video in a school in Massachusetts, a video that a school in Massachusetts has fought in court for years to keep under wraps was played in public for the first time this week, revealing the torture of a disabled boy through the use of repeated electric shocks. I'll read that again. The torture of a disabled boy in a school through the use of repeated electric shocks. The judge from Massachusetts has been for years pushing back against allegations of electric shocks and other abuses against its special needs students, and it has managed to keep the video under wraps. And for those not sure what that means, it's just secret and not available to the public. Footage displayed in court this week and captured by a Fox affiliate shows former student Andre McCollins, then a disabled 18-year-old, strapped to a table and screaming savagely in pain as the faculty applied 31 individual jolts of electricity over the course of 7 hours. He was ultimately hospitalized. This was in a school, by the way. I don't think the Russians went that far in the past. North Koreans, perhaps. The lawyers insist the shocks were applied as part of a treatment routine meant to pacify mentally and emotionally troubled students. I don't know a single person on the planet that's not emotionally troubled from time to time. McCollins was just one of many who have undergone this so-called therapy. Oh, it's a therapy. It's good for you. It's good for you. You should strap the teachers to the table and I think they should go through the same process. He also claimed he was aggressive. Well, wouldn't you be after being strapped to a table? Security footage revealed the boy's prolonged torture was brought on when he refused to remove his jacket in class. That's it. He didn't take his jacket off. Her mother told the jury this week she never agreed to the procedure. Well, wonderful. And that she had no idea that they tortured children in the school. Wake up. She added that he appeared to be catatonic during a family visit 3 days after the incident. The video, filmed in 2002, which is now ancient history, was sealed by another judge 8 years ago, blah, 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 as they all tried to cover up their tracks and pretend that everything was perfectly okay and nothing bad ever happens. The trial is still ongoing. So, what's the point? The point is that when are we going to learn? When are we going to learn not to trust the people who are carrying out these acts of aggression on our children? And I mean our children. It doesn't matter which country you're in. It shouldn't happen. I hope it made you think. Thank you for your time. I'll post links. You can find more information, reports, video stories on our websites, NSA Slovakia, NSA Education. You'll find us on Facebook and on YouTube. I hope to post another video soon. Thanks very much. Take care. Oh, and just before I disappear, I should say it's Saturday the 21st of April 2012, and it's the middle of the afternoon, and that's what happens. I always add things at the end I should put at the beginning.